Hi everyone, it's William. I'm coming to you rather late, almost 10 o'clock or 2200 on a Saturday night. But I did want to make hay while the sun shines, so to speak, and get another video in before things get really tight with getting ready for my trip back to the US. So I was just down in Davos at Schatzalp is quite high above the town, and I was down farther down, but still above the town proper at another hotel that was a sanatorium in Lake Schatzalp, an important sanatorium called the Wald Sanatorium, where Thomas Mann's wife came for, I think, a 6-month stay, and he visited there, and he was inspired to write The Magic Mountain. Anyway, that is, I guess, neither here nor there, but I was down there doing some shooting with the film crew from Marseille. This is the third time that I've done filming with them, and I'm excited about how that will all turn out. They're making a documentary. And yeah, so it was a great day in that respect. And I also, the manager here at Schatzalp gave me the last 2 Maria Mancini cigars in the house. So I'm honored by that and very pleased. That was completely unexpected. These are excellent cigars. I'm not a smoker per se, but when I'm at Schatzalp, I always smoke a few cigars. And yeah, these are the cigars, the very ones that brand, I should say, not these individual cigars that Hans Castorp, the protagonists of the Magic Mountain, smoked. I don't know if Dmitri ever tried one. I don't know if he read the book. I'm guessing probably not, but he knew about the book and he referred to the book. But I don't think he was a cigar man. I think he was strictly a cigarette fellow. So we're not at Schatzalp or even in the time period of Dmitri's stay at Schatzalp, because we're going back to 1915 today, to one of the Usovo diary entries. And I suppose it's apt that I brought up Thomas Mann, because Dmitri is telling us this time again, well, last time I couldn't figure out the title of the book or even the author's name, but this time he's talking about, he's telling us very clearly what book he's reading. So I love that. It's a book I read because of him. Anyway, okay, here we go. We're up to the 8th / 21st of January. In Usovo, it's 3 degrees below freezing. I think I said before I was saying 3 degrees below 0, but I'm not even sure what temperature scale he's using. So I'm just going to say 3 degrees below freezing. What the 3 degrees are, I don't know, but it was sub-freezing temperature a little bit. And he tells us there was a little wind. So that's our weather report. All right. Oh, sorry, I didn't even do the recap. So the recap, the last 1939 diary entry, which was the last video, talking about, oh, by the way, Maria, you do own an apartment in Monte Carlo, you poor person who's looking for money. And I shouldn't say that, because obviously there was some issue with this apartment, that it wasn't apparently just at her disposal. Anyway, and then, he talked about what Dmitri's plans for the summer were, with the wedding of Princess Irene of Greece and the Duke of Spoleto. I'm pronouncing that wrong. And also maybe going to Greece for 3 weeks and having some issues with his status as a stateless person with a Nansen passport. Okay, so, and then the video before that one was 1915, and he just talked about spending the day alone and sort of feeling just, blasé about everything, including about the war itself. Okay, our cast today is Cook, and here's the big reveal of what author we're talking about, and it's Anatole France. Okay, again, 8/21 January, Usovo, 3 degrees below freezing, a little wind. I woke up around 11 o'clock. I lay in bed for a little while, then got up. I decided not to go out before lunchtime because yesterday I experienced all the pleasure of walking alone. So instead, I sat and read. In that way, the time passed almost unnoticed until 11:30, when the shining cook appeared. We immediately sat down to lunch. At 2:30, we went out for a drive in Swedish sleighs. Though I was given a workhorse, it took to the sleigh very sensibly and was not afraid. We went along Zvenigrodka to Barvichy, then back again. Then we slid down the ice hill in front of the house a few times and went in for tea at 5 o'clock. Until dinner time, I read Les Deux en Soif by Anatole France. It's quite interesting, but extremely confusing. We dined à deux at 8 o'clock, after which we sat around in my apartment. Around 10 o'clock, we went outside. It was a beautiful night with no wind. We slid down the hill a few more times. Then, returning to the house, had tea quietly. And then he ends with just one word, the infinitive form of the verb to sleep, spot. So what would you say? Just to bed. Went to sleep. Okay. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Really, I have no idea what a Swedish sleigh is. Maybe they were very small, because Dmitri writes in the plural Swedish sleighs. So maybe sounds like he and Cook each had their own Swedish sleigh. But that is neither here nor there. I don't know these places. Zvenigorod I've certainly heard of. I don't know what in what context. As always, even in Russian, my pronunciation isn't good because I don't know where to put the stress. And yeah, so the pleasure of walking alone. He's using some interesting words here. I like it when he gets a little playful. And, when you read his writing as long as I do, then as long as I have, even the subtle things kind of jump out at you. So he's being sarcastic, of course. I didn't go out before lunchtime today because yesterday I experienced that pleasure, all the pleasure of walking alone. So he didn't enjoy that. Okay, the shining cook. I don't know what he means by shining. I don't know. Was Cook radiant after his trip to Moscow? Maybe so. Anyway, that's Dmitri being a little playful. Anatole France, as I say, Dmitri is the one who introduced me to this author. And I read this book, so Les Deux en Soif. I don't know. I think the translation I read, because I didn't actually read it in French, the translation I read, I think, was something like "the gods will have blood." The literal translation is basically "the gods are thirsty." So what are they thirsty for? Well, blood, because this is a book about the terror, the French Revolution, and specifically the terror. And the protagonist is one of the people that is causing all this terror and sending lots of people to the guillotine, and then he ends up going to the guillotine himself. And he starts out, kind of like an idealistic person, if I recall correctly, because it's been a long time since I've read it. But then he ends up, sort of slowly but surely, for one reason or another, just becoming a monster. Okay, why did Dmitri find it confusing? I don't remember it being confusing, but then again, I don't remember it well. I guess that doesn't, I guess I'm not making a very good advertisement for the book, because if you don't remember a book well, you don't even remember if it was confusing or not, then it didn't make a huge impression on you. But on the other hand, I do remember quite liking it. And I think I'll read it again. This has refired my interest. I think it's so ironic that Dmitri is reading this, in January 1915. And by January 1917, 2 years hence, he will be gone from Russia. He will have been banished by the Tsar. And a few months after that, in February, on the Julian calendar, Russia will have its own revolution and its own terror. And so, he was, I think, more towards the autumn of 1915, he was really starting to get worried. But at this point, not. And so I don't think there's anything to the idea that he wanted in particular to read a book about a revolution because he wanted to, he was thinking about that subject. I don't think so. I wonder if he ever thought about this book later, after everything that had happened. He doesn't say he did so. Anyway, yes, what next? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? It just to say that it continues to be kind of a low point for him in a sort of moral, ethical sense. Not that he's out, having, indulging in vices, but just that, can you imagine what was going on in the war at that time for Russia in, I think, fighting the Austro-Hungarians? And it was a bloodbath, I believe. And then you're going out on sleighs, and you're sliding down, like you're 12 years old. When you're 23, you're sliding down an ice hill in front of your house, and just not even mentioning anything. And at least he was immersed in, in some kind of taking in some kind of a depiction of a bloodbath through Anatole, France. But, so I'm not going to go back and talk about what I did quite extensively in the, the previous 1915 video about how this fit into the overall Dmitri, the big picture Dmitri. But yeah, I mean, it's something it disappoints me a little when I'm reading this, and I want to always be, oh yeah, Dmitri, yeah, great guy, very intelligent, very good heart, and I believe all those things. But sometimes he makes it a little hard, right? Okay. Anyway, what do we have next time? Next time, in the 1939 diary entry, Europe on the verge of destruction, Mr. Grunwald is going to fill us in on that, and he is going to do an excellent job filling us in on that, whatever we may think of him. He was, as I've said so many times, smart, well-connected, talking to people who knew things, and so I'm going to do two paragraphs of that, and I thought about skipping them, but instead of skipping them, I'm going to go ahead and do them, because he immediately follows up with how Dmitri fits into this whole political scenario. So I think they're pretty important, actually. And, if you have any interest in history around in Europe around the Second World War, then you're going to find them fascinating, because it's a really unique point of view. And okay. Next time, in the next 1915 diary entry will include a trip to Ilyanskaya. He's going to go there and look around and reacquaint himself with the place and talk about that. And also some more about his arsenic treatment. So, yeah, I can't say for sure that I'll be back tomorrow. If I have any time at all to do it, I will be. So thanks for watching. Come back, and yeah, I hope to see you next time. Sorry about the light quality here. I just came from this very professional filming information where everything is done so meticulously with sound and lighting and that sort of thing. And here I am, just, it's horrible. I'm looking into the screen now and thinking, man, I should have moved somewhere else. Anyway, sorry. See you next time. Bye.